Hey guys, welcome back to Economics and Comics. This is your non-spoiler movie review. So if you want to see the spoiler one, stop now. Go check it out. You'll see which one it is. And if you want a non-spoiler, this is the one. I'm with Mike and Joel Massey from GoneWithTheTwins.com.
Thanks so much for having us back.
Super famous twin critics. Twins, little secret. And of course, this is my channel, Economics and Comics. Please please check out their website, GoneWithTheTwins.com. So we just got back from seeing Us.
Yes, the new horror film from Jordan Peele.
Horror movie, yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, one of the interesting things here is that we all went in kind of expecting this to be horror. But, I guess to get right into it, the genre is a little bit tricky because Jordan Peele's a pretty intelligent guy and he's worked a lot of different things into this film. So it is not just horror. I mean, maybe even more predominantly than horror is psychological thrills. There's also a lot of comedy in here, just as in Get Out, which was his previous film. A lot of humor, and there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of familial situations. It's kind of on the outside a home invasion movie, so you get a lot of thrills in there.
I would classify it personally as a thriller, more so than anything.
But there are horrifying elements to it,
sure.
and there's a lot of unexplained things that go on in there too. So it's a pretty fascinating film. I think it ran a little bit too long. It was about 2 hours. Which is a little bit long for a film like this, but overall, I was pretty pleased. It is a tricky film to talk about because you don't want to, especially for this version, we don't want to spoil anything. And so just the basic setup on the outside is Lupita Nyong'o's character. She has had some traumatic things happen to her in her childhood. She got separated from her family, and I think you see all of this kind of in the trailer. But anyway, so years later, as an adult, she goes on vacation with her family, and she
happens to return to the same location, which is the Santa Cruz beach.
Yes, this is the same area.
It's returning to the same traumatic area.
Where she was separated.
But now she's an adult, and she has a family. The husband is played by Winston Duke as Gabe, and then she has two kids who are Zora and Jason.
I gotta say, they all were really. I mean, well,
yes, the acting.
I think the acting was great. I think the husband was for acting, he was under the tier of her and the kids. I thought they were much better actors than the husband.
It's probably just the direction Peele had him go, but he was definitely more of the comedy relief.
Yeah, and there was a lot of it. It was a lot,
which is interesting because he's the one of what you would assume on the outside is the most formidable character because he's tall and he's big. You would think that this character would bring a lot of the the protecting elements to the family. So when they come into difficulties here, it's actually quite amusing that he is more comic relief and that they can't quite depend on him. We're actually dealing with Lupita Nyong'o's character is the one who has to be the strongest of all of them. And then the kids are very impressive as actors. Yeah,
I don't know why I'm even saying this, but I find her very attractive. I think she's very attractive. And I think she did an
even when she's covered in blood toward the end of the film.
Oh, spoiler! That's
I think you see that in the trailers.
No, but she's great on camera. I think she does a great job. The little kids as well.
Yeah, and I think
it's another strong female character in a horror film.
Yeah, and it's got to be tough, right, to be convincing in this sort of a setup. So what we were briefly explaining was that when she gets back to she's on vacation with her family at the beach house, the same kind of area where all of this problems occurred when she was a child. There's a lot of coincidences that arrive, symbolism and symbols and things that she discovers that makes her very uneasy. And part of what's really, really interesting about this setup is that the other characters don't notice it. Yeah. So there's this very cool paranoia feeling where everything's going kind of wrong for her, but everyone else is acting rationally. And I thought that's another element that Winston Duke's character I thought was very entertaining in because he's the element of being rational. He's the first one to... The way he behaves is kind of like how you'd imagine regular people behaving when they're confronted with this very otherworldly premise.
Because he hasn't seen anything crazy happening, and she...
It's actually a shame that the trailer gives away what happens, but you see that out of the blue at night, there's a family that appears on their driveway.
The classic scene,
they're holding hands. It's a really, really creepy, brilliant setup. Too bad everybody's going to see it coming because this is how you describe the
trailer. Actually, unfortunately, spoils a lot of things, so I would recommend not watching
if you can avoid it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we're not going to talk about that in this one, but there are some. The film goes a whole nother route, I think, and it's. Yeah. very interesting. There's statements being made, I think, that not a lot of people are going to pick up on, and I think it was very well done in regard to that.
You could dissect the film a little more and kind of unravel more and more meanings that are kind of buried beneath the surface. But
Yeah.
on its outside, it is, I would say, a home invasion horror film. So.
At least it starts that
Yeah.
way, yeah. And it's pretty fascinating because you get these 4 characters who are actually doppelgangers. They look exactly like the 4 characters who are trapped in the house. And, in short time, these people have invaded the home and they're now terrorizing. I got a sense of a little bit of funny games in there because of the home invasion vibe. Also, The Strangers, which is one where it's a horror film where, and they've got characters with masks that kind of...
The Purge, I guess, the setup.
Yeah, a little bit of that, the first Purge film, sure. So these basic horror elements that they're drawing from...
Well, the interesting the part I liked a lot about this is that even though the home invasion genre has been done many times before, as we just mentioned those films, this one still feels fresh. I think he kind of brought some interesting aspects that kind of liven up that genre. And part of it, I think, is the humor. It is a very... almost balanced mix between thrills and comedy. Yeah,
it made it light, and I agree. I think Peele is he's a smart guy. He is a smart guy, and he's making his take on things with delivering a message and all that. But to me, look, I think he straight out said it was a horror movie. I was laughing almost the whole movie.
Yeah,
a lot of I
humor.
think they might have noticed that I was laughing at even parts you're not supposed to laugh in.
Yeah.
Like faces being made and stuff like that. Because it's hard. I'm so, like we were talking before, desensitized. Like, you cannot scare me. And I told them when I walked in there, I want to be scared. If they can scare me, this movie is a success. And I was not scared at all. I still enjoyed it, though. And that's the difference.
Yes, well, and I think that has to do with the way the scares are done. So, yes, there are a few jump scares, but those are not the main ones. I think what they essentially do, they create psychological thrills. So it's a kind of, the setups that they have here are really well done. So I don't think that, as the premise plays out, I don't think that they're trying so much to just have the boo moments where a character suddenly appears in frame or a loud noise. That occurs from time to time. Yeah. But I think what they're trying to do is create very elaborate, imaginative ways of terrorizing this family and the audience.
I would say that the film is not necessarily trying to be just straight horror and just trying to scare the crap out of you the entire thing. There's so much humor in there that it almost alleviates some of the tension that's being built.
Yes, well, that goes to the classic roller coaster comparison, right? There's scares that will feel like descending on a roller coaster, but of course there's also areas where it builds anticipation, right? Where you're not being, and I think that's where the comic relief comes into play.
The first half hour is the
for sure.
climb to the top of the roller coaster.
Yes.
And
that's
very slow climb.
That's one of the things they do very well here, though, is the building of anticipation. I think I think he's quite proficient in creating a scenario that gets under your skin. You're creeped out by things. I think there's a lot of long shots where they focus on people's faces, where they focus on a room.
There's a lot of sequences where it feels like they're building up to something that never happens.
Yes,
and
which is brilliant.
So instead of getting the release, you end up just getting more tense.
It's a bit of that manipulation, but it's done well here because he's playing with audience expectations. You expect something to occur in this frame. You expect somebody to grab the shoulder. You expect something to happen here, and then he denies that from you. So, and I think, and it draws it out and makes it a little bit more suspenseful. And again, in poorer movies that do this, you might even be bored when they deny the thrills. Here, I think the psychological thrills are designed.
There's a lot of slasher elements in this film, but I never felt like this was just a cheap slasher film at all. I think it kind of transcended that kind of thing.
It's a new take on something, and with it's a light. It's very hard for me to actually describe to you, but
I think
I know there's something hidden in there, and I think people will leave and go, "That wasn't scary," or "That was just funny." And they missed the whole point, and I think that's what he's going for.
Everybody finds different things horrifying, so I think definitely different audiences, different crowds, different people who have experiences like this. Well, not like that, but even people who find home invasions scarier than ghosts and monsters and things like that. That it'll affect them more.
Let's just be serious. Did you hear any time in the theater people go ah? Oh, yeah. One time you heard that?
Yeah, several times.
I did not hear it at all.
Yeah, I think the audible laughs, that was more apparent.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Because some of the things that are said in here break the tension, and it's very well done. And that I think a lot of people, they want to release that tension, and so they let out a belly laugh. And, that's what these scenes are designed for in a lot of ways, again, to mimic that roller coaster feel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think all of us here sort of found the film not that scary, but I don't think that should dissuade anybody. Other people might find it even more horrifying. So
it's a matter of expectation. Yeah. If you go in expecting one thing, you're going to be, and maybe that's one of Jordan Peele's strongest, skills here in this film is to
mix so many genres.
Yeah, there's unpredictable things that happen in here. So he's not only mixing the genres, he's playing with your expectations. There's a lot of times where you anticipate something to happen, and he denies that from you, or he'll change that. And so that there's the formulaic kind of pattern that a lot of horror movies fall into. This one doesn't do that. He's designed it in such a way that you can't guess what's going to happen.
I would say there's a lot of similar elements to his previous film, Get Out, which was not a straight horror movie in my opinion.
That music, though. There's some music. He's copywriting some music now. Like, he has made a staple on that. He's got some weird music.
It's eerie, and it really fits. And to go back to the comic relief, you also get moments where rap is playing or the Beach Boys are playing. You get these things that highly contrast horrifying things that are happening, and you've got the Beach Boys playing in the background. So he knows how to handle the music, and the cinematography too. There's some excellent shots.
Yeah.
There's a scene on a boat which I particularly liked. Where a character is appearing behind another character, and it's just very well framed. It isn't designed to be a jump scare. It's designed to kind of the creeping dread. It's a very
he's a competent filmmaker.
Technically very well done. Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to argue with these guys, but for me, and I'm a horror fan, I wasn't scared at all, and that doesn't take away from that movie for me though, because I really enjoyed it for a whole nother reason. But if you're going in there to think, oh my gosh, I want to be scared, not happening. That's on my end.
I suspect a lot of people who will be watching this movie will have already seen Get Out.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty good comparison because Get Out, while it has horrifying elements in it, it is not strictly a horror film. There's so much more going on.
I felt like this one was a little scarier than Get Out, but not too much.
Yeah, a touch, yeah.
But it's a different type of horrifying thing that they're trying to do here. So.
Yeah. To go back to what Bill was saying about there's going to be a lot of talk about the underlying themes that are going on here, and because Get Out had a lot of social commentary, race relations commentary going on in there, and things that people were able to readily and easily pick out, right, and kind of analyze and figure out what he's trying to say with these particular characters in these particular situations. I think people will be doing that with this film as well. And I don't know, that might be a trap, right? People are going to go in with expectations about what he's trying to say, and certain areas he might not be saying the similar kinds of things. Or people might waste their time or get distracted trying to unearth.
But I think it's a testament to how creative Jordan Peele is. He knows that different audiences, different crowds will react differently to what's going on in this film. And it's the same with Get Out. Different audience members reacted very differently to the horrifying elements going on in there.
I thought it was interesting, and I know we're going to wrap up here, but when we were walking out, I heard some people behind us saying, man, that's some Aristotle, Nietzsche type. I mean, they were really trying to dig.
Yeah.
And I in my mind, the message was obvious, but it's more than just a horror comedy. He is trying to say something just like he did in his last movie. And I as a job, or movie critics, and it's not my job to like try to explain stuff, but I'm a movie watcher, but I think there's something there, and you'll see what it is. We're not missing it, is what I'm trying to say,
and we'll delve into it a little bit more in the spoiler version.
Yeah, we'll talk.
But I think other audiences might be able to uncover even more little juicy tidbits that he's kind of hidden in there.
For sure.
It's almost one of those films that maybe on the first watch you won't pick up all the little things he's trying to put in there. So, yeah.
But anyway, I mean, overall, they don't give you their number 1 out of 10. We do this every time.
But overall, it was an effective movie, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a mashup of genres that you just really don't see too much these days.
It was definitely a mashup.
Yeah.
It was definitely a lot. It's a thought. It's a psychological thing, I guess, mostly. I wasn't too scared of it. I thought it was funny. I really enjoyed a lot of the funny parts, and it's hard for me to say that I thought a horror movie was funny, but they pulled it off, and or he pulled it off. But they don't give a number. If you want to go to Gone with the Twins, you can see their rating, read the review. GoneWithTheTwins.com. And I'm going to give it... I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I think so. I mean, I think it's really good. And if you have to see the spoiler one, check it out. Thank you guys so much for taking it.
Thanks so much for having us back.
And we'll see you next time.